how connectivity, data, AI can create collaboration, commerce, and innovation across the mobility landscape.
The data is now oxygen, it's not even oil. So that's the way they're really looking at today.
मुझे सिर्फ एक ही तरफ से फर्क पड़ता है कि जो हमारे भाई बहन वो चला रहे हैं उनकी इनकम कैसे बढ़ेगी.
We need to kind of reskill, upskill, and bring in fresh manpower, the trained manpower to handle these vehicles.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our panel, From Wheels to Deals, Business in a Connected Vehicle World. Connectivity is no longer just about transportation. A modern vehicle is a rolling data platform generating tons of data. And this data is shaping the way the industries collaborate, the services are delivered, and the value that is created across the mobility ecosystem. We are here to discuss a very fundamental question, the question of how connected vehicle data can lead to sustainable business value without compromising data privacy, user experience, and trust. This topic could not be more timely. From insurance and retail to urban mobility and smart cities, data from connected cars is unlocking cross-industry partnerships and new revenue models far beyond the traditional automotive sector. Advances in real-time AI and real-time analytics is also shaping predictive services, intelligent navigation, personalized in-vehicle services, and proactive maintenance. So we are moving from merely being modes of transportation, vehicle as a mode of transportation, to vehicle as a node of the digital ecosystem. With this opportunity, like every other opportunity, there are challenges as well. And these challenges typically revolve around who is going to own the data and control the data. And these are some of the questions that we will be talking through and discussing in this forum today. Meanwhile, companies are also eager to make the most of this data, commercialize it, and monetize it. However, we have to keep it in mind that such balance needs to be maintained in looking at revenue ambitions along with safety, driver privacy, and a positive user experience. There's an urgent need for policies, communication infrastructure, and industry standards to ensure that the vehicles can seamlessly communicate with each other and also with the infrastructure and the pedestrians and the users and the road users. So with this, we are gathered here, the industry leaders from automotive, technology, and policy domain to explore how connectivity, data, AI can create collaboration, commerce, and innovation across the mobility landscape. I now invite our panelists to dive deeper into these areas. So let's start with the foundation. Of connectivity. Now, who would be better to answer this question than the person himself who has been in the middle of intersection of networks, platforms, and mobility? Prakash, I would like to come to you first. The question is, how exactly is connected vehicle data enabling cross-industry collaboration? Can you share a few examples with us, Prakash?
Thank you, Shilpa. Good afternoon, everyone. Just to introduce, I'm Prakash. I'm part of Tata Communications. I head one of the collaboration and connectivity solutions. One of the product what we do for the global arena is called Move, which is an intelligent connectivity platform. So the question what Shilpa talked about, so how this whole data is coming to and then how the cross collaboration things are happening around the world. So before we dwell further on this one, I would like to just emphasize on, first of all, what data we are talking about when it comes to a vehicle or anything, right? So the type of data, what you are looking at, a location-based data, or the diagnostic related data, then the driver behavior data, and then all the other predictive diagnostics and all of them. So those are these are the set of data that we are really talking about. So, and then if you look at the data again, so there are set of data which are specifically personally identifiable data. Some of them were very specific to the vehicle itself. So once you have that one, the data, then how it's really being generated at different points in time, and then how it's getting processed or gathered, and then how it's really pushed into the cloud for further discussions or further analysis and all of them. So if you look at the data is an oil, and a lot of people are talking about. People have talked about the data is now oxygen. It's not even an oil. So that's the way they're really looking at today. So when you are the cross collaboration, cross industry collaboration when you're talking about, so this data, how do I monetize it? So that is the paramount concern. Today, across the globe, or even particularly in India as well, while we are talking a lot about that one, we have just scratched the surface from the industry point of view. And I think just before this one, we had a very healthy debate in the lounge where we talked about, so who owns the data, and then what are the challenges and all of them. It's a very interesting debate. I don't think we are able to solve the problem in this forum, but however, this is the stepping stone for us to take it to the next level and then see what is the art of possible in terms of delivering this piece of work. And then to me personally, I feel that this is not just one entity can resolve this problem. It is an ecosystem that comes into the place and then try to address it. It could be a partner, or it could be a connectivity provider, or a vehicle OEM, or a small device makers. All of them come into existence and then to solve this problem. So that's the way I see that one. And when you say the data as such, right, how some of the users, if you look at the immediate thing that comes to many people's mind is about the insurance. So how I'm able to underwrite the premium and then give a better value-added services for my end customer in terms of the reduced premium, for encouraging a better driving behavior and all of them. The second aspect is how do I use this data to provide some specific advertisements for the end user in terms of buying a coffee on his way, or some petrol station, or a EV charging station that is nearby. So those are the value-added services that I can give. In addition, if you go just beyond that one, how do I help the governmental agencies in terms of providing the necessary infrastructure, and also collecting the tolls and all the other different value-added services that they can do. And then if I go to really financing side, how do I make those data viable for a fleet management operators or financing companies to really underwrite whether the person has been given a loan properly or not, and then whether they have a credit history, and then there's a driving behavior and all of them. So all these things are very much possible. But if you look at really whether these things have come into existence today, very few examples I can probably think about it. There are still people are really looking at, industries are looking at, OEMs are looking at that one, and I'm sure that in the next wave of innovation and exploration, some of these things will really come into existence. So that's the way I will kind of conclude, Shilpa.
Thanks, Prakash. Just a follow-up to this question, do you think that the revenue models are also evolving in terms of delivery of service?
Yes, it's definitely evolving as we speak. One of the example I would like to, because the customer in a European-based OEM that we are working with, so they have tried understanding the data and then how do they monetize and all of them. One example they have done is that they were able to work with the app provider, and then they are able to monetize the data. But especially for an end user who is using the vehicle, and then they are using a radio services with one of the customer in the US. And so we are able to provide a split billing capability as part of the platform. What it means is that I'm actually creating an invoice for my customer. Out of that, a certain segment of the invoice or the amount of revenue or the cost that goes into my OEM. And then the part of it is a usage-based one, which the app provider is giving it to that OEM. So that way, the OEM is able to charge that money to the app provider, and that way they are able to monetize the data. Obviously, it goes through all the consent mechanism and everything, so that is something, one example you can do. Similarly, there are other areas where they are looking at, for example, my classic example I keep talking about is a Spotify, right? The Spotify, how do you, what type of music you wanted to do, and then whether you are able to monetize that. that one. So all these models will really come in, and for that, the infrastructure is very key. when it comes to infrastructure, how do I really enable the data and then put that as a data marketplace so that people can come and then use those kind of things. So there are multiple ways to do that. It can be, see, today if you look at, again, the OEMs are charging some of the value-added services like heated seating, for example, or the ADAS features. All of them are subscription-based models. And then another important thing is, based on the usage and all of them, they have, when a connected car comes for the renewal, you are able to just top it up with some of the services that you are able to do that. And then they are able to, the end customer is able to do the renewal in an appropriate time based on the usages. So that's where the models are evolving.
Thank you, Prakash, for that fascinating view on the cross-industry collaboration. Now that we have the connectivity and the pipe set, the data would start coming in. And imagine what all we can do with this sort of data. This is where AI, data analytics, and intelligence steps in. And I would like to now bring in Sumit. Sumit, what do you think, what is the role?
Over here.
Yeah, sorry. What role would AI and data analytics be playing in this entire ecosystem of V2X?
Okay, let me put it in just one line. We're moving from reactive machines to predictive intelligent systems. Automobiles, up until very recently, and even today, I mean, although AI ab aa gaya hai, I mean, it's announced its arrival, but to have artificial intelligence in the vehicles, we're still a little bit behind on that. But we are already starting to do predictive intelligence, predictive analytics, machine learning, and a lot more. So what we are actually moving towards is an era where hyper-personalization of automobiles is going to happen. Just as our smartphones, just as our other equipments have adapted to us and have involved into our lives, seamlessly integrated into our lives, automobiles are going to look very similar very soon. Now to come, how exactly are we using this data and how is this data being utilized for the benefit of the consumers, the OEMs, the industry operators? So it's a lot of things. So right from predictive maintenance. So imagine a mining truck worth 1.5 crores and that has a downtime. Every minute that it's not running, every minute that it sits on the ground, it's losing money. With predictive intelligence, with systems like telemetry communication systems, wherein a constant stream of data is being shared between the vehicle and the server, and constant processing is happening, you get to know exactly what part is going to go wrong, what's the failure, where exactly is the failure, and it solves a lot of problems in a lot of domains. So for the customer, end consumer, it solves the problem. Okay, I know that my vehicle is going to experience a downtime or a breakdown in the next 1 week. For the OEM, it solves the problem of identifying exactly what's the need in the supply chain कि मुझे कौन सा part advance में मंगवा के रखना है. Otherwise, the usual TAT time is very long. I mean, a lot of OEMs are trying to solve this, but जब तक आपको real time information नहीं मिलेगी, तब तक आप ये चीज़ नहीं कर सकते. And just on time, just on demand is still difficult. Predictive is solving many critical things. Additional to this, we are in the era of ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance System, where machine learning, artificial intelligence, and a host of other technologies are being combined right from user behavior, so driver behavior, to vehicles, output to the user's driving patterns, and everything is being combined to ultimately give you the ultimate luxury of a self-driving car. AI, which is still far but closing in faster than we can ever imagine. I think we're very close to seeing an autonomous car or a machine learning intelligence powered car where it is able to identify its own requirements, able to book its own service, order parts on its own, send requirements, and so much more. So for artificial intelligence, since we are still evolving, since we are still growing, I think it will be fascinating to see how exactly are people utilizing this data. But as of right now, as I see, we're using a lot. We're doing predictive maintenance, diagnostics, predictive diagnostics, supply chain and logistics solutions, so as to have everything prepared just on time, and so much more. So I think we are in exciting times.
Wonderful insights, Sumit, especially around the intelligence that is shaping the driving experience. Great. So the intelligence also brings us to the question of ownership. Who's going to be owning that data? Now I'll come to Naveen. Naveen, you have been working extensively on vehicle programs and connected systems. So who do you think should own and control the data? Do you think it should be the manufacturer? Do you think it should be the driver or the owner of the vehicle? Or do you think it should be the tech platform or any other stakeholder? What's your view?
Okay, sure. See, when you talk of ownership, so anyone in the world would like to say I. So always I want to own everything, I want to be a king, so it's that. But I think the way the word is going on and how my friend has shared AI, already we have given up and we, now it's a word of we together. So when we say it's a word of AI, it can't be with anybody, one person being there as a owner of anything in the world, whether it is data or anything. It has to be co-owned by all the stakeholders. Now it depends how smartly we integrate, align ourselves, how smartly we create a platform where the data is generated, data is processed, and data is used. Okay, just to give a short brief, I am also working on a theory of co-creation, which was, if you know, by our earlier late management guru, Mr. C.K. Prahlad, if you know that. In 2007, he has stated that in 2030, only those companies will remain who work together as means who co-create the organization basics. Means the companies who will work together with the stakeholder will only exist, others will perish. So like we can see 23 years before what has to happen, he has stated, and today we are all seeing that we are going together as co. So whether we co-create, whether we collaborate, whatever we do together. So why I am putting so much on this co-word is this connected vehicle also has a co in it. So as we are growing towards connected vehicle, as we are going towards AI, it's all about means together. So there is first of all no confusion or doubt that data has to be co-owned by all the stakeholders. Now the problem lies how it should be done. So it is evolving. There is no direct answer today, but everywhere any co-ownership, starting with the basics life, husband, wife, a marriage, it's also a co-life. How it ultimately succeeds, unless until both the members have a win-win situation, which is difficult, we all understand, but we always work together a win-win situation. We always want to create value for each other. It will have a successful and healthy life. So here also in a situation where we co-own the data, because I am the data user, I am the data provider, I am the data processor, these are the three I's. Unless we generate value for each other, we cannot survive. So my point is that we need to create a platform where every stakeholder sees a value. Now there is various formats of this, that how do we create this. We should have a tiered system. I should have a limited access. I should not have complete access. I should have access for what I want. So all these things, because there will be some give and take. We were just discussing offline before this session. Google is having so much of data with us, but we are having that benefit. We go to Google Maps, we feel it convenient to go anywhere in the world, but then we have to share some data. So it's a give and take. But now the question comes in, how do we provide that data information which I like or I don't like? So it's all about trust now. Now, but trust can't be done just by saying it's a trust. So we have to have some regulation framework. We have to have some tiered level of consents. So these are the various thoughts which are a long list. But broadly, I want to say that there is nothing as a single ownership. It has to be joint, but it has to be structured, it has to be regulated, it has to add value to each and every stakeholder. And now there are various benefits of working together. If we are not connected, we can't run the vehicles with AI, what we are saying. We can't run the vehicles where we need to have a battery station, swapping stations. Unless we are connecting, we will not know that how do I recharge, where do I do charge, how much is my battery life, how do I let my service provider know where I am. So all these things are requirements. So we have to share data. So my answer simple is we have to share, we have to work together, and it has to be owned by all of us together as a structured process, and a trust has to build up in the system design, not by saying I trust you, in the system design, and to be regulated by the central agency, where we, in our state, we say let the government be there as a regulation, and we all as a stakeholder get added to it. And then there are various benefits of it. We can increase our service maintenance, we can reduce the downtime, we can do many things in the world by sharing data with each other, especially in this connecting vehicle. Advanced, as you said, we can do advanced problem assessment of a vehicle. 1 week in advance we can know where is the problem going to come, so that can be corrected. So many things, even for insurance, vehicle insurance, if the driver habits are good, vehicle insurance, the person gets a benefit that, okay, his habits are good, he is less likely to have accident, we'll have a good insurance premium, which is at a discounted thing. So like this, and even the data which I am giving to somebody, if he is utilizing for his own improvement, I should get some money back for that. So if you see, the whole worth of data is more than 100 billion. Today also, there's so much of data worth which is people are earning out of it. So if I don't get a share, I would not like to get. But I can't just get a share by asking. So everybody has to see that how do we create value for each other, and how do we have a win-win situation so that we create a central database and then we enjoy the fruits of all. So maybe it's a complicated answer, but I try to put it everything together as a core.
Thanks, Naveen. Just a follow-up question to the one that you just answered. This would also require fair data governance framework and sharing frameworks to be established. So how do we ensure that consumer privacy is maintained while sharing data?
Yeah. See, I think I answered in between also. I won't take much longer because time is also running out. See, we have to design the entire network that the consents have not to be open. See, because sometimes we say, I agree to this. This doesn't mean that I agree to do everything of my data. So there has to be certain layered thing, certain tiered thing, and also what I will get back out of it, and where all my data should be used. There should be transparency, there should be trust. So it's a long list. But broadly coming out is, we need to share, we need to have a designed structure, we need to have a regulation, and I need to get my value out of it. My means every stakeholder should get a value. So that structured framework, once we do, I'm sure this will have a long way to go. Thank you.
Thanks, Naveen. I think you've laid out that structure pretty well. Now, even with this proper governance, there needs to be a balance between connectivity adding value and connectivity bringing, becoming too intrusive. So Uday, you have been at the helm of mobility, building mobility solutions at scale. I would like to get your perspective on where do we draw the line on connectivity and commercialization in vehicles.
Thank you. First of all, great to be here at the Convergence India Expo, and just to see how India is moving forward, knowing with what's going on in the world over the last 2-3 weeks, to see the buzz here, at the Smart City India Expo tells me that India is definitely still on the march despite all that is going on. I got stuck in Dubai a little bit, a week ago or 10 days ago, but to see this here is great. See, for me, the most important part, the sector that I work on, is the three-wheelers and the two-wheelers, which, at the end of the day, those people, the most important part is the TCO.
the total cost ownership, the connectivity, data, this is all good. But at the end of the day, it's the TCO. But the data, the connectivity will absolutely lead to efficiency, will lead to lower cost. मुझे सिर्फ एक ही तरफ से फर्क पड़ता है कि जो हमारे भाई बहन वो चला रहे हैं, उनकी इनकम कैसे बढ़ेगी. That's the most important, right? And if the data helps, in enhancing the TCO, मुझे सिर्फ वही सबसे ज़्यादा important part है. Data के साथ, data is the new gold, whatever all of these superstar AI guys can do. But I want, if India is going to be able to use scale and size in the sector that we work on, BMWs, Mercedes, ऊपर वालों के लिए जो नीचे बैठे हैं आज भी, उनको TCO चाहिए. इससे absolutely there will be, more productivity. But I will also say, data, how it's protected, and to be honest, the people that the vehicles I build, I don't know how sensitive they are to their data. Okay, I'm talking realistically, right? A three-wheeler guy, man or woman, or a two-wheeler, driver. Data is their personal data is. It's still, I think we're still far away from that as compared to Europe or the United States or Japan or Korea. I'm talking in realistic terms, right? But I do think long term, there has to be a line where data is protected. But I'll keep coming back to it. If it increases costs too much, then that customer or he or she is not willing to pay for it, right? Because data security also comes with cost, right? And in India, only one thing matters. Mera saving kahan hua? Mere ko cheaper kaise hua? I mean, obviously, with oil prices, where I see sustainable now, we're not going to go down there. It's going to, no matter where it settles, God bless President Trump, he wakes up one day and he wants a war. He doesn't want a war. We don't know. I mean, it's a guessing game with that man. But what I'm saying is that data has to be a very important part of this whole game. I think there has to be at least, if we do four-wheelers and we do the bigger product, I think there is more security required. Here, I think as long as it's efficient, as long as it reduces cost, as long as it makes my country green and clean, as long as it brings, more green plates on the ground, as long as it gets India to get off this, the more we get off this, energy dependence, right? I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that I have continued to talk about, and I will, is how one of the third largest economy in the world is getting hammered because there's a war going on in the Gulf. Because we are so dependent on that fuel or that gas, right? That 8% or 7% growth can go to zero if oil goes to $200 a barrel. Sorry, I'm trying to, मैं मुद्दे की बात करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. I know data is important, but I think what's more important, ma'am, is if oil is $200 a barrel, then how do we sustain the economy? So I think we've got to use all of this. We have to use EVs, hydrogen tech, other stuff to bring the TCO model down and to absolutely reduce our dependence on foreign oil. That's my point.
Great points today, especially on the total cost of ownership. Thank you for that. Coming back to the whole aspect of connected experiences at a national scale, we need a sound connected infrastructure. We need strong policies. We need standards and frameworks. Coming to Abhijit sir, your work on India's EV-ready highways makes you the perfect person to speak on this. So sir, what new policies, standards or infrastructure are needed to support a truly connected V2X environment?
Thank you. Thank you, Silpaji. First of all, thank you, Convergence, for bringing us up all brilliant, very heavyweight speakers every year. We get this opportunity to share some of the brightest work happening in the ground. This also brings us close to an opportunity of sharing what exactly we are intending to do. So जब तक आपका intent clear नहीं है, आप सही content नहीं बना पाएंगे. What intent we have is in the pretext of policy, financing, framework is required, is what I will start with. जब तक, until and unless a woman in India, which is a driving woman who's going to drive an intercity mobility by herself at night with her children or maybe an elderly parents on highway, would choose and feel safe that I'm going to drive from city A to city B at night on an electric vehicle is achieved with the kind of confidence, comfort, resilience we wish to give her is achieved, this policy is not going to reach to its completion. So that's the intent part. It sounds very easy to say and to try to implement it, but when it comes to content, how are we going to track her vehicle? Are we going to give her that consent whether she want to be tracked with her children or her parents or not? When we are going to give her the roadside assistant or on-road services, where she is going to charge her vehicle, what type of backup roadside assistance is going to be provided to her, how this infrastructure will come up when we have a 10-year-old history, or you can say legacy in India of building, putting up charger which are not working and serving, creating an resilience and confidence to an EV user. This all comes into the part of content. Now, to which extent we have to reach is something Uday has already triggered in the ending of a conversation, of his conversation, is we wish to achieve at least 70 to 20% of reduction of what oil we import every year. And this reduction is only possible if we switch to electric mobility or green mobility or hydrogen mobility or some sort of solar charged mobility in the segment away from household and industry. So household and industry are a bit hard to abate sectors, but mobility is something where you can reduce this. So intent, content and extent, prakriti, pravirti and yukti, all these to be in line to give a comfort to someone who is willing to use the electric mobility. People who do not wish to or who are not capable to buy an electric vehicle for each one of them as an own vehicle, they should be given an opportunity to ride an electric vehicle without buying it. This all comes up to an extensive amount of technical piloting, rigorous prototyping, proof of concept, technical trials to be done on these highways, and that is the work which I do. National Highway for Electric Vehicle in last 6 years has done 3 trials, Delhi, Jaipur, Delhi, Agra, and now for the trucks, Chennai and Trichy. This all has brought a third generation of charging station, which you can say maybe an energy station because they dispense 3.2 megawatt of energy to these new generation of vehicle who do not use petrol and diesel. These stations are well connected. They give an anchor space to a connected mobility, connected highway, not only e-highway, but also electronic highway. And these electronic highways are going to give solution to the problems that mobility has faced from last 8 years. And these 4 problems, I think each one sitting here as a very brilliant and bright audience, you'll be able to relate. These 4 problems are too much to expect from private sector. That private sector will be able to get his own land piece on an highway. Second, a power of around megawatt charging, 1000 plus kilowatt hour on the highway. Third, you will be able to manage your entry and exit from an access control highway. Means you have to extensively, closely work with NHAI. Fourth, footfall, security, safety and business model on those highways. These 4 things from last 8 years or 10 years, I can say, if you include FAME 1 and FAME 2 tenure, then 12 years we have been expecting from private sector to do at their own. That is a space where National Highway EV comes in. All together Bharatmala and Sagarmala, 5500 kilometer highways. After each 100 kilometer, one charging station of a size of around 5 acre, 4 times bigger than a petrol pump, with a charger of 36 to 72 chargers expandable, are going to give you a comfort of a baby feeding area, an airport kind of infrastructure, which has air toilets, waterless, or what you call air urinals, plus a complete set of amenities which you need, a conference hall, a food court, or bank, or spa, or saloon, whatever it is a requirement for us to have an exact replica of a developed country. So when you are imagining your travel on the road, आप वो हर चीज़ जो मैंने शुरू में बोली कि जब तक एक महिला को हम रात के समय में इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल पे बच्चों के साथ ये कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं दे पाएंगे कि वो ट्रैवल कर सकती है, वी आर ट्रैकिंग दोज व्हीकल, वी आर गिविंग देम अ रोड साइड असिस्टेंट इन टू 30 minutes dot if any vehicle shut down on those e-highway, particularly the E1. And if there is a requirement of any sort of charging, jump start or recharging, it's all available. In this context, the crux of all this is orchestrated on the data. This all is only possible when you share a certain amount of your information, certain amount of where is my station and where it is. This is in contradiction to today. We are unable and we are able both. I'll give you both context. You want to book for Dhurandhar, you can find a cinema hall, you can find your slot, you can find your seat, and you can book a movie. But if you want to book a charger for yourself, you have to go through n number of, if you have to first find out which vehicle you own, which highway you want to work, what time slot, whether it's reliable, not reliable, will he refund my money, if the charger will be ready when I reach there. This all is the reality. And to bring this reality to a comfort of ease of doing business, it is important for us to orchestrate everything which is a part of this as a one business model. And that one business model is decarbonization of your surface transport. I will end with the last point which I said. I don't want you to own these vehicles. I just want you to use this vehicle. And this will only be possible when our OEMs, our manufacturing companies will create more and more vehicle. We will create more sustainable TCOs, and these will be owned by fleet operators. You want car, you want SUV, you want bus, you want personal vehicle, everything is on an app available. We are in a generation where India is growing amazingly. Your data capability, your software, particularly the soft power, is more stronger than the West. And the UPI is an example of that. I go to Europe, I give a photocopy of my passport to one airport, and I get a car which is costing more than ₹1 crore. I'm using that car for another 6 days, crossing 4 more countries, and then giving that car to some other airport. That's the infrastructure, digital infrastructure we need to build. And I'm happy that we have all requisite, we are well placed to build that infrastructure. The time is to understand what we need to reform, where we need to join hands to perform, and this is going to lead us to a transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Such an inspiring look into the future. Thank you for that. Now, none of this future would be feasible unless we have a workforce that is ready to function in this area. And Meenu, this is your domain. So what, in your view, is the new set of skill sets? What are the skill sets that are required to make this workforce ready, from AI to EV to data engineering?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Shilpa. And if you talk about, I have been listening to all my co-panelists, and definitely I am going to be a bit different because, it's the second side of, the electric mobility or the smart mobility, what we would call today. So if we talk about the automotive world today, it's not only about making vehicles, it's about connected vehicles. And if you see, these are actually smart devices on wheels, which is not only changing the business today, it's also changing jobs. Where is the workforce which we are talking about, whether we talk about charging stations at every 100 kilometers, or if we are talking about the predictive analysis and diagnostics, do we have the workforce ready to take the next leap? Today, the mechanics or the mechanics, which is actually handling our vehicle, are they equipped enough to do these kind of, data handling, the data security, the predictive diagnostics, analysis? Do we have that workforce, which can actually handle these smart vehicles? If we talk about electric vehicles, green mobility, do we have these candidates or the workforce? We need to kind of reskill, upskill, and bring in fresh manpower, the trained manpower to handle these vehicles. So, and it's not about only the maintenance of the vehicles. When we're talking about data, yes, the data maintenance also, because at that level, do these mechanics or do these workforce know how to handle these softwares and the data which is getting collected? So I think in this world, the data security, the handling electric vehicles, handling the charging station operators, we talk about BMS also, but we actually do not have the workforce, which can handle these smart devices, I would say, not the smart mobility. As I said, these are actually the smart devices. And at ASDC, we are definitely trying. It's a drop in the ocean, I would say, but we have many electric vehicle, autonomics, all these courses already made, and we are trying to kind of upskill and reskill the existing workforce with the OEs, with the roadside, I would say, independent technicians, yes, but I think there is a lot of work to be done for this to make us ready to handle these smart devices.
Thank you so much, Meenu. Thank you to all the panelists for their thoughtful and illuminating thoughts. So what we've seen today over here is that the industry is not going to be shaped by a single technology, but it is going to be shaped by the convergence of data, by infrastructure and intelligence and human expertise. So we are in a very evolving time, and mobility is soon becoming a data-driven economy. And this is the time, this is a turning point for us, and the choices we make today are going to influence our future. So with that, thank you so much to all the panelists, and thank you, audience, for listening in. Thank you.
Thank you, Van. And I would request our session moderator, Ms. Shilpa Kaul, Director EY, to kindly do the honors of felicitating our eminent panelists with a token of appreciation and gratitude. We begin with Mr. Uday Narang. To Ms. Mahua Acharya. Oh, she's not here. Mr. Naveen Chopra. Ms. Meenu Saragi. Mr. Prakash Nagarajan. Mr. Abhijit Sinha. And Mr. Sumit Roy. And may I now invite Mr. Karun Bish, Senior Manager Exhibitions India Group, to do the honors of felicitating Ms. Shilpa Kaul, our distinguished moderator for this session. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you to all the esteemed panelists for an extremely thoughtful and forward-looking discussion. Thank you. May I request for a group photograph? Ladies and gentlemen, this session has truly highlighted how connected vehicle ecosystems are not only transferring and transforming mobility, but also unblocking entirely new business opportunities across industries.